My story is about struggle. It's also a story of determination and hope. My struggle with addiction began at a young age. As a young teen, I started messing around with drugs because where I was from, it would seem like the thing to do. At first, doing drugs and drinking with my friends felt like a big party, but I didn't realize it was tearing me apart and breaking down my mental health. It was depressing and depressing, and it was really messing me up. To most in the Native American community, culture and tradition are very important. I never learned my indigenous language or my culture's bloodlines. I never took the time to learn the old traditional ways because in my mind, I thought that tradition meant using drugs and alcohol, even though this is not true. Growing up around me, I would see a lot of people using drugs or drinking. I thought that was our tradition, and so that's what I did. The drugs had a very powerful impact on my mind, making it hard to have self-control. They weakened my mind and ability, and I experienced many emotions that were very intense and uncontrollable. I felt embarrassed and afraid because I wasn't in control of myself. I couldn't see that there were things I could be doing, like picking up a rake and cleaning my mom's yard, or helping my family, or my community. For many years, I was stuck in my addiction and poor mental health. And because of my addiction, there were things I wanted to do that I couldn't because I was mentally, physically, and spiritually unfit. One day, I was sitting across the street from my house and I saw my mom, dad, and sister go inside. It was at this moment when I realized that I wanted to be with them instead of being high. I tried to go home, but I couldn't because I felt like I was being chained down. I realized my mind was unstable and that I couldn't think for myself. It was scary and lonely. I was suspicious and couldn't trust anybody. It felt like there was an ice-cold presence blocking my future. My grandma used to tell me to call on Jesus for help, so I did. I faced that obstructive presence of cold hopelessness, and I said, "You can't have me, because God has a plan for me." I wanted to stop using drugs and alcohol, because I knew I was destined for bigger and better things. For months, I would cry and ask the Creator to send someone to help me, because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. One day, this man who was a family friend from LA and who was a pastor came to my house. Every day for a week, he sat with me and just listened and showed me things in the Bible, things about love, about peace, and calmness. It spoke to me. On the last day of the week, I grabbed the rest of my drugs and threw them into the fire. I focused everything inside me on staying sober because more than anything else, I wanted to change. I wanted to get better. I was inspired by this new person I knew I could be. That Sunday, I ended up in church, which is where I started to share my testimony about what I had been through. I realized I could be a source of strength and hope to people, and that they could hear my story and that it might help them in their own struggles. After I got sober, I had to relearn how to feel my emotions and retrain my brain to function better. It's something that I found extremely difficult to do. Thankfully, my community supported my efforts to get better. Many of them are familiar with the same struggles. In addition to going to church, I started learning more of my culture's positive traditions and participated in cultural dancing, gatherings, and sweat lodges. I started serving my community and moving towards wellness while continuing to heal. When I share my story, I try to speak from the heart. When you're talking to someone, you may never know that they might be going through similar experiences. I believe that our hearts speak to one another when we are true to ourselves. I like to think of myself as a key, and that you are a key too. And by sharing our stories, we can turn the lock and open someone up and give them hope. Even if you're in a bad place, you too can overcome addiction and poor mental health. You can recover and become the better person you're destined to be.